Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll be going through my AFLW Fantasy team review for round 5, in which I had another stellar round, scoring 1484, a round rank of 631, not as good as the round 4 of 59, but still a really good round, and an overall rank now of 464, which is up close to, I think it's 148 spots now. Yeah, 148 spots up from our round 4 rank of 612. So anyway, let's just jump into what happened and sort of my thoughts as we get into round 6, I guess, or the break in between round 5 and round 6. So as you can see, these are all the stats that I was saying in the introduction there. McCormack 66, a little bit of a down week for her. She's averaging now, 74 for us in the 2 games that we've had her. So she's still doing what we need her to do. It was a little bit of a down week for most defenders, or a lot of the defenders in the top line along the whole way. So if we just look at this for round points here, you can see if we go to the 1 mil plus, you have Lucas Rod had a down week. She went down 48k. The 900kers, you had Chaplin and McLaughlin have good rounds, but Carney and McCormack both had pretty poor rounds. And then in the 800k range, you had Watson just basically got all her points in the last quarter. Paxman down week, Cohen down week, Georgia Stathis down week. So you can sort of see how it's forming. And then, I mean, Cordner had a pretty good week back herself, but she had a down week last week. Heath sort of at her average. Bedell, McAvoy, Randall, etc. Thomas a down week as well for her. Head sort of around where she was. And Ellinger, another one that had a down week as well as Richardson coming back down to earth with a couple of poor scores back to back after starting out with an 85. So you can kind of see, I just ran through all the defenders there basically, and you can kind of see that, there isn't much gain from, McCormack, much lost, I should say, from McCormack having a down week, because most of the defenders had a down week other than Watson, McLaughlin. If we just go to all defenders here, all prices that most own, I have McLaughlin and Watson, who are the 2 highly owned players. I know Pease is owned by some people, but if we look at her, she's had up and down each which way. And probably Chaplin's the one that I'm just a little bit nervous about missing out. And then Lucas Rod, I'm not too nervous about her 81 because she was down on her average. So that doesn't really matter. And then the rest were already getting into 75s. So yeah, if you look at that and you go there and you're looking at this and going, doesn't look the best. Well, it was a down week for defenders in general. So yeah, not the worst there. And then Rigioni's probably just a sour point here that I can't really move her on, but she's not really getting any cash generation. If we look at her break even anyway here and just go to break evens, you'll see it's probably about 25, I would say. Rigioni, it is 36. So yeah, she's probably going to dip down, expected to dip down again. And I wouldn't be shocked if she scores a 20 again. And suddenly we're looking at her basically back at 300k. So this is sometimes the problem, is just that you get this with sort of defenders and forwards where there isn't really a good option. Like we look at this and you go, there really isn't a good defender option to switch to anyway. So Rigioni, if it works out and she goes big score again, then like a 40 or a 50, then we'll be looking at a little bit of cash generation. But yeah, it doesn't look the greatest for her at the moment. Then we get into the midfield, and the one time I take the captaincy off of Marinoff, she goes absolutely large. So in the last 2 weeks, I've burnt 80 points from captaincies, give or take, between Gardner and Marinoff, choosing the wrong person. So that kind of does suck a little bit. That those 80 points would have been gladly accepted, I would say, is probably the way I'd phrase it. Because yeah, that 80 points, I'm pretty sure if we were to look at the rankings, and I can do sort of a little bit, so that would be 71 30 71 18 if we just go through this league here and look at whoever's at 71 18, give or take, it would put me about 230th overall if I just got my captaincy right in the last 2 weeks. But anyway, sometimes you just make mistakes, and that's all part of the process. As you can see as well, Greaves you can almost start just checking this off, going, I could have gained 20 points here, could have done this, could have done that, could have done this, etc. And you start to really just burn a lot of points in general. But yeah, that sort of sucked that Marinoff was on 46 at halftime, and then she just scored a 119-point second half, which was ridiculous. Just looking at, I think she had a 74-point third quarter or something, and then backed it up with another big last quarter, and she just blew away everyone. That was, yeah, it was a ridiculous quarter. 74-point third and a 45-point last quarter, in which in that second half she had 18 kicks, 2 handballs, 5 marks and 12 tackles. She had 12 tackles in a half of footy, which is ridiculous, alongside the 20 touches, of which 18 kicks. So she had 50 points in kicks in the second half, and she had another 48 in tackles. So she had over 100 points in kicks and tackles in a half alone, which just shows the scoring power of Noffy. And I probably should have realized that, because Hawthorn plays such a tight game and they don't really give much away. I know that Adelaide did in the end score 48 points and Hawthorn 27, but I probably should have seen that Hawthorn create very much a tackle fest game, it feels like. So yeah, you can see, well, you can't see, but I'm just looking at the stats, and you have Noffy at 16 tackles, Boyloo at 10, and Charlton at 10, alongside West at 9, Bodie at 9, and Hatchard at 7. So you had quite a lot of tackles there. In total, you had for the game 78-76 actually isn't the biggest tackle game, I don't think, for AFLW, because other games would have, I'm looking at other games going that they might not have had as many tackles, but yeah, the tackles actually were about on par-ish with other games that I've seen, maybe a little bit ahead, but not too far ahead in terms of tackles. Maybe I'm just looking at the wrong games, but yeah, I can see here that the tackles are relatively on par for half the games or so. So yeah, that maybe was a false assumption there, but or an incorrect assumption, but maybe I should have just gone with my gut there and kept on Noffy, because I would have been a lot higher. Gardner, 117 for her. Wish she had gone just that little bit higher. She had a really poor, I think it was second quarter. Second quarter, she had 25. No, it was she didn't really have a poor quarter at all. 25 in the second, 36 in the first, 30 in the third, and 26 in the fourth. She just didn't have that big 45 point quarter that would have pushed her up towards that sort of 130, 140. And if she'd gone 130, 140, we'd be looking at a massive total. Prasparkas 98, she saved that massively. She was on like 25 late in the first half. And then she just went and just in the last quarter in particular, she had 30 points in the third quarter. She had 24. Second, she had 25 after 19 in the first, but it was late in the second quarter where she just went off. She was on 23. I believe with about 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, and then had a couple of tackles and a couple of 1-2s, and that just ballooned her score up. She is now averaging 100 for the year, doing exactly what we wanted her to do, and is probably, I would say, an upgrade next week if we can possibly do it to the likes of a Riddell or someone of that regard, maybe a Garner, depending on trades this week. Because we do also have to upgrade the defense, but the defense is burning maybe 20 points per week, whereas this M5 is burning potentially somewhere, I would say at least 40 plus each week. If we look at Greaves' best score of like a 75 compared to a Riddell Garner combo or someone of that regard there, because that's probably where we're looking at. And maybe Prasparkas isn't actually burning as much when you start to get the Garner Riddells in. And then we get down to Bowers 127. That was a huge score from her, 104 for the year. Just this one poor score. That's it. This one poor score against North. If you disregard that, which you can kind of do, and you also take out the 127 because it's her highest score, then you've got 198 points off of her, which is 326 through 3, which is an average of about 108.6, which isn't even that bad. So yeah, not Bowers is doing perfectly fine. It was just that one poor game for her, and outside of that, she's doing exactly what we need. And now her break even you would expect to be sort of 85 or so. It's 78. So yeah, she could even go up in price the next week. If we look at Prasparkas here as well, I just want to look at Prasparkas. It's an 86 break even for her, so 100 again for her, and she gets some ground as well. So some of these ones here with Bowers and Prasparkas, sorry, that may not be necessarily top of the line for the midfielders, are still enabling us to get relatively close here. I wish I'd probably gone Kate Hoare a little bit earlier, because she has done extremely well in the last couple of weeks here. And with the 119 and 138, she's probably the one that I missed. and at 10% owned, she is dominating. She was like 900k or something like that, maybe even a little bit less a couple of weeks ago, and is now 1.27 million, and would have enabled me to make that jump quickly, but I just missed her, to be honest with you. Missed the role change and everything in between, so that was kind of a stuff up there. Grieve 63, Okashton's probably near enough complete, I would say. Grieve's 55 break even, so she's still probably going to make cash. She averages 71. She's going to make another 40 okay, but I would rather almost cash her in now. The roll was a little bit iffy. It wasn't the most perfect roll. If we just go to Greaves here, it's going to have it, I think. Where is it? Sierra Greaves here. You can see 44% CBAs, 50% CBAs on 64% TOG, 63 points. So the roll there, I think, is a little bit iffy. So I'm just going to probably trade her on this week, I think, to get the bigger fish, because the bigger fish can go 150 and break games. So if that's not leading to you to realize what I'm going to do, then I don't know if I could put it any more plainly without saying exactly what I'm going to do, which would spoil a video. Shoals 71. It wasn't too surprising, to be honest with you. She's doing exactly what we kind of need. I mean, I don't think she went up 69k. I don't think that's right. But anyway, let's just go to here and just check that. No, she went down 21k. But we have even Strom, I think, going down a little bit, or near enough what she was priced at. So those two are basically matching each other. Strom has Essendon, Scholes has Geelong. So Scholes actually has the better matchup this week. So I'm not actually worried about the matchup scoring this week, as I was last week, which actually, if you look at Strom, she did go a 90, which actually was a little bit surprising. But it was West Coast with a dual ruck, so maybe that's not as surprising. So we can hold on for Schultz for one more week, I think. I do think the fixtures start to turn a little bit if we just go to, if we put in Fremantle and we also put in Port Adelaide here, I think the fixtures start to turn. I would be still taking the Shoals in this matchup here, but then you have Fremantle against Carlton and then Port Adelaide against Ott, and also Karras. I'd probably still be taking Shoals in that matchup. But then you have Freo against Hawthorn, Port Adelaide against Western Bulldogs. You start to see that the matchups actually aren't too bad. You'd probably want to switch now. I think now the switch comes in round 9. Just looking at the sort of matchups here. Because Brisbane, I don't think is the best matchup for Shoals. Then I also don't think Hawthorn is a good matchup, whereas Fremantle have Melbourne and GWS, and then Port have that Adelaide game, whereas Fremantle have Richmond, and then Fremantle in the last round have Adelaide, whereas Port Adelaide have GWS. But yeah, you can get 3 straight matchups of really, really positive for Strom. So I'd probably be looking there for the Shoals switch, but that'll be way down the line. And then Dunlop made, I think, a little bit of cash, maybe lost 2k, something like that. If we just go to Dunlop here, you can see she lost 4k, which isn't too bad. I'm pretty sure that resurrects her break even just slightly. 37 break even now, so, and I'm hoping that against the likes of Shoals, she can actually do all right and just get towards that sort of 45 marker again, make a little bit of cash, because she's not really doing anything, but it isn't the worst scenario. Ham 76, a little bit more down to earth for her, still averaging 88, and I know a lot of people are looking at potentially cashing her in. I know that she does have, if we look at Ham, an 85 break even, so it's not even that bad. She's averaging 88 for the year, so she's still expected to make cash, but she's still so far away top of the line that if you trade her out and she goes big for 1 week, you could be burning 20, 30, 40 points so easily for someone that might not even lose cash. It's not like the likes of the Gould scenario where she got injured on 0, won't be back anyway this year, but she, if we just look at Gould here for a second, and the good thing about Gould, I hate to say it this way, is I'm pretty sure she'll qualify because she won't be back for the rest of the regular season. She'll be priced at 53 next year, so she'll be a lot more gettable or startable next year, priced at 53, but yeah, you can see the 91 break even, obviously a must trade out there. Goldsworthy 79, she's fine, just doing what she needs to do. It's top of the line for the forward. I know it sucks because it feels like she should be doing more as a midfielder, but at her price point, there's going to be that game where she just goes nuts and goes 110 or something dumb like that, and you just look at it going, I'm going to burn potentially 50, 60 points in that round. if I get the player wrong. So you just go for the roll. Woodland, 89. I picked her up for her best game of the year, which is perfect. 72% tog, not the best. But yeah, 89. If she could actually kick it goal, that would have been a huge score of a 99. But we take the 89 and run with it. Maloney, 1 goal 3. It looks like a lot of my forwards here can't actually shoot a goal. Ham, Woodland, and Maloney all struggled or struggle in general to kick it goal. 1 goal 3 for her, but she has the Port Adelaide matchup this week, so I'm expecting some good things there because, yeah, that could have been an 85 very, very easily, if not 90. And yeah, so I'm expecting good things from the likes of Maloney, who's gotten through her tough matchups. So I'm expecting her to do well. And then Barnett finally had her lowest score of the year, a 67, plays Hawthorn. And I'm not too worried about it, to be honest with you. She's still averaging 74 for the year. There's not really anyone challenging her too much for the top role. Probably Parry is coming in hard in the last couple of weeks, a 65, a 102, and a 98. So she's just gone bang, bang. But I don't think anyone would have traded her in when she was averaging, what's that, 85, 93, 98, 158 divided by 3 is about 53. So I don't think a lot of people would have traded her in averaging 52.6. So yeah, I don't think there's too much concern there. I think a lot of people will trade her in this week, which will be potentially a points chasing move, but we'll see how she goes. And then Bogue, 70. Look, maybe gain 3 points there, fielding the best chance there. But yeah, probably time to move her on because her break even, I believe, is rather large. If we just go, it's 55. She's done her role, basically. She's done her role. She's not averaging top of the line. She's close, but 59.6 isn't going to cut it in the forward line. And we know 59.6, break even of 55, large chance of her to lose cash, make the upgrade now is basically the maneuver that I'm going to apply because that's what we need to do. We can't hold on to these girls, expecting them, hoping them to have another big score, another big boost to cash gen. It's realize that cash gen and move them on. And so that's probably the move with Bogue. And we finally got that game out of Centra. We finally got it. She went up, I believe that could be right in saying 103k in the round, but let me just double check that. Where is she? She's up here now. 87k for the round. If we go to Centra herself and go to break even of 33 now, but if she does that 75 again or 76 again, she's going to blow it up and be that big cash generator. So hopefully they found her spot. She did have in the end 18 touches, her career best. She had 2 marks, 3 tackles, and 2 goals. So yeah, really hoping she can kick on because if she can go 75, she's going to make a lot of cash. It's just we got to hope that she doesn't go with 33 and just burn out that cash generation. But happy to hold her for another week. 571k. The cash generation, there's potential with her is huge there because she might have just turned a corner now. Her, as well as it looks like her tog's up, well, relative. So yeah, I think things are turning around for Centra anyway. But that is the video there going through my AFLW Fantasy team reveal for round 5. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will be the trade targets. I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.